I'm bored, so here's crappy history. Finland exists, let me make that clear first, and it's in the north, so it's cold. Human sluts arrived around 12,000 years ago and didn't do much except bang rocks together. But soon a couple cultures oozed out of the slimy, Finnish, permafrosted ground. These were the main ones? Yeah, no. Suomusjärvi? Sure. Some did hunting and gathering, while others already had pottery. And others were Stone Age cultures and died out over 3,000 years ago, so I'm not going to talk about them. 500 BC, they discovered iron shit is better than stone shit. Christians arrived by the 11th century and made you love Jesus, which some didn't want to do, so civil outrage. Finland sits right between the then Orthodox Russians and Catholic Swedes, so naturally they crusaded Finland hard. Denmark then united the whole place for about 126 years under the Kalmar Union. Finland was busy being suppressed by that union. It's gonna come up a lot in their history. And that suppression went very deep, to the point where their language was the victim. See, Finnish isn't a Germanic language. It has nothing to do with German or English or Norwegian or that shit. So when these Viking whores heard Finnish, they hated it immediately. During the Middle Ages, Middle Low German was the language of trade, Swedish of government affairs, and everything religious was in Latin. So Finnish itself was really only ever spoken at home. Sweden wanted to get rid of the language altogether. Why am I happy? Just delete the whole thing. Sweden made maids move to Finland to teach people the superior Swedish. All this made Finnish sexy. Perkele, tervetuloa, smash. All this made Finnish quite the new language when it comes to writing. The first proper Finnish language was only written down by my mate Mikael Agricola, that's how you pronounce the name, in the 16th century. That human took all the Western dialects of Finnish and turned them into writing. Around that time in 1523, Denmark and Sweden noticed they fucking hate each other, so the tentacle union collapsed. Get it? Cause calamari? Kalmar? Sweden increased taxes on the Finns, fucking their little economy, and then took resources from Finland which were necessary to defend against the Muscovites. The fuck are Muscovites? Pre-Russians. And Denmark made an alliance with these Muscovites to invade Sweden and in turn Finland. In the mid-1500s, the New Testament got also released in Finnish, so people could read Jesus. You still want to read Jesus? Read Jesus. Do I have a Bible? No. The then King of Sweden, Gustav I, then founded Helsinki, but it's not the capital yet, so you gotta wait like 200 years for that to happen. He then died in 1560 and his son assumes the royal duties, which he did arguably quite well from a Swedish perspective. Bam! Expansion into Estonia, which leads to a time called the Northern Wars. And the Livonian War was one of them. And of course the Finns were used as cannon fodder. No surprise there. 1596, Finland kindly asks for independence. Sweden's response, of course, was very rational and thoughtful, loving. 17th century, Gustav Adolphus, a fucking motherfucker. He made Sweden great again, and in turn Finland that much worse. After the 30 Years' War, Sweden emerged as a huge bitch in Europe. They had like a whole thing. The Finnish part of that kingdom got transformed by this dude, Perbrez. New towns, first university, made a postal system, and improved agriculture. Things were looking up, except for the independence part. Then the little ice age happened, where Europe just fucking froze. And at the end of the 17th century, a famine killed 1/3 of all of Finland's population. 150,000 out of 500,000. Not long after this, the Great Northern War fucked the country. It was the last of the Northern Wars. Basically, Russia wanted Baltic regions, Denmark wanted South Sweden back, and Poland-Lithuania wanted Livonia. So they all hated Sweden, and in turn Finland. Poland's first army got fucked by Sweden's King Charles XII. Bless you. Denmark-Norway could have also been better, and Russia died too. Sweden then invaded Krakow and put a puppet king in charge. Russia then tries to invade Finland. King Charles dies in Norway, and his sister takes the crown. And the only thing Sweden was able to hold on to was the mainland, and Finland. Then the so-called Great Wrath happened, where Finland was tossed between suffering under the Russians and suffering under the Swedes. Sweden eventually gave up. Russia annexes the southeast, Karelia, and Sweden turned into a democracy, but still fucking Finland. The harsh times under the Russians were not forgotten, however, especially by a political party called the Hats. They were in Swedish government and wanted to reconquer what was lost to Russia. And it went as you'd expect. All of Finland was under Russian occupation from 1741 to 1742. That's known as the Lesser Wrath. At least all of Finland was whole again in 1812, when Russia annexed the whole nation. Lit. Finland was then known as the Grand Duchy of Finland under the Russian Empire. Around 1835, my boy Elias Lönnrot made the Kalevala. Can't believe I got that right, what the fuck. Which was a bunch of Finnish folklore mushed together. That sweet bitch then went on to settle some disputes between the Western dialect speakers and the Eastern ones. He preferred the Western ones, but he also introduced some Eastern dialect words. Closest thing to equality, I guess you'll get. December 6th, 1917, Finland declares independence from Russia. Perfect timing, since the Russians had a little civil war going on, and Finland wanted to join in. January 1918, the socialists claim Finland for themselves, and so do the conservatives. The Reds, socialists, and the Whites, the conservatives, even had supporters from outside Finland. The Reds had the Soviets, of course, and the Whites had the German Empire. That's news to me too, and I'm German. 33,500 dead people later, and the Whites won. Finland became an independent capitalist republic. And all was well, except Russia had a longing for their former girlfriend. Breakups are difficult. So in 1939, the Soviet Union invades Finland. That's the so-called Winter War. The Finns fought relentlessly and successfully defended their nation for 2 months, until they died. Until they were forced into a peace treaty, which made them lose 11% of their land and 30% of their economy. That made them a little pissed, so 15 months later, together with their best buds, the Nazis, they invaded the Soviets. That's the so-called Continuation War. The Finns attacked right when the Germans attacked in June 1941, and they were successful. They got those sexy pre-war borders back by September. They even cut off supplies to Leningrad. But that didn't last forever. The Germans started falling back, and without their support, the Finns did as well. September 1944, an armistice was signed, and part of that armistice was that all German soldiers had to leave Finland right fucking now. This resulted in a beautiful stage fight where the Finns pretended to shoot the Germans so the Germans could safely retreat to Norway. Beautiful camaraderie. In the end, Finland lost more territory than they gained in the war and had to pay the Soviets $300 million in war reparations. Finland went on to balance diplomacy with the Western world and the Soviets. They're kind of their neighbors. A totally easy situation, standing between the two Cold War giants. They had a big recession, however, in 1990 when the Soviets fucking died. After that, Finland turned into the beautiful, modern tech giant it is now, with the world's best educated and happiest people. Because all the sad ones are dead. Hyvä Suomi! I'm done now.